Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button right out of the gate, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Today's video is going to be regarding where Thomas Crooks got onto the roof. We finally have an answer according to a Washington Post article. I got a subscription there and went over their article, and it was absolutely fantastic, going over the breakdowns, absolutely ludicrous communication setup that they had. I mean, it was really quite startling. But we're going to start off the video. I'm going to show you where Thomas Crooks went up on the roof. So one of the last sightings of him was he was in this area on a picnic table and then went like this around the building in this direction. And what's crazy is the other night we were going over the Grassley documents that he uploaded to the his website, and it showed an arrow going back there, and I was guessing maybe he climbed up on this HVAC system over here. So if we go down to Street View, you can go right into the corner here and look back there. I was thinking maybe he went up onto this, then onto here, and then those are the pipes that he climbed up on the roof. There's other people, and they were pretty good ideas. There's a shed over here he could have climbed up on, but that's wide open and visible to all the people that were standing right over here. So he probably walked over here and just kind of quietly snuck back around there and climbed up on the roof back in that location. We also know that him climbing up on the roof was filmed on a surveillance camera. So if we go back, the other day on my show I was thinking that maybe a camera over here, but I really think that a camera on likely either this building here or this building here filmed Crooks get onto the roof. I think it's more likely this one here on the left, because these trees right here block the view of the other building. So if you go down to Street View about right there and you zoom in to the area, you can see that little door back there, and just to the left of that door is the HVAC system, air conditioning unit, looks like, that he got on and went onto the roof. So from this camera you could see that he climbed up on the roof and started moving around on the roof from the camera way back here. This is just my guess based on where that is. It's really the only place that could have filmed it. Now, I mean, I guess you could say that maybe there's a camera on this building, but that angle is kind of weird, and this is a place they would have checked right away at the beginning. So I really think it's going to be right over here. In fact, we can go back down to Street View again, take a look at it, and you see the door right there. And then if I go up in the air, and there's the door, and just fly straight over there, we're right inside that area. And I think he climbed up on the roof right there, and that's exactly what it shows in the Washington Post. And here is the image right here that's in the Washington Post. I thought I'd put this in at the beginning because a lot of people don't like to stick around for the details. They just want to hear the quick snippet. So right in this portion right here, they actually have it squared. HVAC equipment Crooks used to scale the building. They absolutely have the answer. And he went back here around 6:02. So that means he was kind of like hiding around back here for 4 minutes or so, probably waiting to see if anybody came back to check on him. And what's interesting is, did he have his assault rifle with him at the time? That's an interesting element here. I always thought that he had the AR-15 in this, I guess they call it a pine tree, right here in this area. It's kind of like a pine tree bush. I thought he put the assault weapon in there. He does stop right there. Makes you wonder, though, if he climbed down and got it, or perhaps he went on the roof earlier and put the assault weapon inside the top of the tree at a different time, maybe a day before or something like that, where nobody was aware that he was there, and then when he came across, maybe he gathered it. I don't know. It seems more likely he had the AR-15 with him in his backpack when he was walking around back here, but it seems so reckless to be walking around in this area with a backpack that has an AR-15 folded up in, because if he was stopped by anybody, he would have been busted. So it seems like he would have taken measures to keep that element hidden until later. But I guess maybe we'll find that out at some other point. And he may have gone to the grave, being the only person knowing the answer to that question. But apparently he goes back like this, up onto the roof. And then there's another drawing right here that shows that they think he went like this and crossed and made his way to the place where he was shooting. But again, 606 up over here, so he was slowly and methodically moving around, waiting for specific timing. So he comes over here, maybe waits back over in this area for a while, and then he bolts across. Now that angle would be about like this from the stage. So if we put the stage here and look at the angle that that was from, it was from one of the victims that was shot, and they were right here on the southern stands. And if you go up in the air from there, you can see that the building is at an angle. So if he was back here and he went like this, it would appear that he was coming from left to right, just like the video. So let's take a look at that right now when the person runs across. And this is Thomas Crooks up there. Watch.
Hey, gentlemen, so we're going to bring him up for can we bring him up for a couple of minutes later? A little bit later. All right. You get ready, McCormick. You get ready. I'll get you up here. The world will see a vibrant Republican Party that is...
Yeah, so at that point, he's not even at the area where he's shooting. So if you kind of go down to here again and zoom in, we've gone over this before, he pops up back over here on this roof, or maybe even like in this area. He could be standing up. There's a pipe right there. I guess we could take a look at that. Does that line up well with the... Let's see. We go down to the stands, and there's a pipe. Yeah, right there. Now let's see if we can see that in the video.
So we're going to bring him up for can we bring him up for a couple of minutes later? A little bit later. All right. You get ready, McCormick. You get ready. I'll get you up here.
All right. So there's a pipe right there. That's what I was looking at. And let's take a look at that again now that we have that in there. So if we go down to about where he was, and then we zoom in like this, he is, yeah, that makes sense. He's just to the left of that pipe, and he's right in this area. So after that, he climbs up this direction, and he starts shooting, and that would be far more to the right from where you see his head pop up, because at that point, he's at the base, likely right in here, and let's see what time it says. It's 6:08 and 48 seconds. All right, so let's go over this from the beginning in the Washington Post article. I'll leave a link to their article so you can read all the fine details in it. An urgent message crackled over the radio inside the white trailer, a mobile communications hub for local police helping to secure former President Donald Trump, his July 13th rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Just an FYI, we had a younger white male, long hair, lurking around the AGR building. A local counter-sniper said at 5:42 p.m. According to a timestamp transcript of encrypted radio communications obtained by the Washington Post, he was viewed with a rangefinder sighting the stage. We lost sight of him. I mean, that's crazy. They see this guy with a rangefinder, and look at that's at 5:42 is when a counter sniper saw him with a rangefinder. No one from the Secret Service, the agency primarily responsible for protecting Trump, was inside the white trailer to hear the message, according to two law enforcement officials. Instead, the federal agency had its own mobile command post with Pennsylvania State Police almost 300 yards away and had no direct open communication line to the local police hub. The local commander inside the trailer had to pick up his cell phone and dial a state trooper to relay the message, two officials said. I mean, how ridiculous is that? That there's no direct line from two different agencies on the ground. This starts reminding you back of 9/11, where people weren't communicating with each other. It's just ridiculous. And you think over the last 40 years, they've just become really complacent, and they like to kind of isolate themselves as a special elite Secret Service unit. Why don't all the other officers have, for that show, a pair of headsets that they wear that they're all communicating to the same place? It's absolutely incredible to me. It makes me angry. The lack of a direct communication link would later hamper the ability of the Secret Service to quickly grasp the threat posted by would-be assassin Thomas Matthew Crooks, as local police search for him over the next 29 minutes, resulting in the federal agency's gravest security lapse in decades. And here is an overlay image of where these command posts was. So here's the Secret Service command post way over here, and then the Butler County Command Center is right over here. Now, there were people over here that were communicating with them, and apparently they were communicating sometimes with the police officers in this building, but there was no Secret Service agents in there at the time. I mean, it's like a comedy of errors, although it's not funny. It's ridiculous. And why wasn't this the Secret Service command post? I mean, look how close that is to the stage. Wouldn't that be better? And I'm just saying, they need to get rid of text messaging unless absolutely needed. Everybody's communicating, and everybody goes out and does something about something when it occurs, instead of, like, texting seems to have the effect of passing the buck to somebody else. Communication between the Secret Service and the local police was disjointed and time-consuming, helping to explain why Secret Service agents closest to Trump were taken by surprise when gunfire erupted. That's right, because nobody was even aware. It wasn't until 30 seconds apparently before the shooting that somebody was aware that there was a gun. Plenty of time. There should have absolutely been no problem with somebody saying he's got a gun 30 seconds before, and having Secret Service get up there and covering him and taking him off the stage immediately. On 3 occasions, a local officer inside the Butler County Command Post had to relay information about Crooks to the Secret Service hub by cell phone on a day when cell service was bulky and unreliable. When Lentz heard the message about the rangefinder, he used his cell phone, this is him, to call a state police officer stationed in the Secret Service trailer. So he didn't even have a line to one of the Secret Service agents. He had to call an officer, a police officer, in that trailer. According to the official and call log, State Police Sergeant Joseph Olayer, the call recipient, relayed the information to a Secret Service counterpart in the trailer, the official said. So just think how long that would take. Hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun. Let's see. Hold on. Hello? Yeah, hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun. Okay, and then that guy hangs up the phone and then tells the Secret Service person, and then they relay it to the detail around Trump. I mean, what a joke. Give me a break. And by the way, wasn't that a great reenactment? As reinforcements made their way to help, officers tried to circulate photos of Crooks, but cell phone reception problems got in the way, the transcript shows. If you want to send this to whoever command, if you have a cell number sent, they're asking for direction of travel. Not sure, he was up against the building. If I had to guess, towards the back, away from the event. And so it turns out that was pretty accurate. I'm trying to forward a photographs of the individual, said local tactical team member at 5:47 p.m. Units be advised, internet and cell services down, another officer on the channel said a minute later. Well, I mean, that is when you got to get really, heightened security. Everybody's in there and everybody's working together, because now your cell phones aren't working. You have a suspicious person. You need to go find this guy immediately, and you don't put Trump on the stage until you find this person. Your picture is probably not going to go through because I don't have any service, a sheriff deputy radioed at 5:49. Our Sierra unit lost visual of him, Lentz told the traffic control officers at 5:54 p.m., using the code name for local tactical officers. I believe you guys are outside of that fence if you come upon him. So they're trying to locate him at this point. They've lost him, but they believe he went out sort of north and around. At 6:02 p.m., the same local sniper who first radioed in the message about the rangefinder was on the second floor of the building owned by AGR International. From a northwest window facing away from the rally site, he glimpsed the suspect again just as Trump was preparing to take the podium. And I think that Thomas Crooks sat outside the window, and I think it's back in the previous image here, this one right here. I think he sat outside and was waiting for Trump's rally to start. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if some of these searches are checking to see like when he was supposed to go on. He's just kind of waiting and waiting around, and eventually Trump goes on, and that's when he goes into action. So again, it says at 6:02, the same local sniper who first radioed in the message about the rangefinder was on the second floor of the building owned by AGR International. From a northwest window facing away from the rally site, he glimpsed the suspect again just as Trump was preparing to take the podium. All right, subject is in between the AGR building. He has a backpack, said Sergeant Greg Nickel, a Beaver County sniper. So where did this backpack come from? It doesn't seem like they mentioned the backpack in any of the prior surveillance of him. Nicole had been assigned to look out over the rally site from a window on the opposite side of the building, but he had moved to look for the suspect, according to young Nicole's commander. And so he was right there, and this is that other sniper. So if you take a look at the building from above, let's go to Google Earth here. That sniper was right here in this window, and he had a view. You could see some of the photographs he took of this tree right here, and he must have seen him, sort of a glimpse of him as he was going around the building. The other sniper was in this location, I believe, and he's the one that took the photograph of him sitting on the wall there. So suspect noted at picnic table right here, and that might be by just witnesses perhaps, said, yeah, he was sitting at that picnic table. And then apparently he goes back in this direction. And then they have another drawing right here where they actually show him going around. Now that previous one was in the document that was on the Grassleaf site. See the arrow going back here? But the Washington Post article has this better diagram where they have him going back here. And that's when we did the show a couple days ago where I thought maybe he climbed up on these units right here, and that's exactly what he did. And so apparently inside this building right here was the Beaver County sniper, and they have the arrow right there. Let's see if we go back to here, is there another window? Perhaps he was even looking out this window right here and saw him walking back in this direction. So it's possible he went back to this side, looked out, and saw Thomas Crooks walking around the building right there. All units be advised also that individuals headed towards Sheets, a sheriff deputy radioed to his colleagues at 6:04 p.m. Well, I think that's what probably caused some problems for people searching for him, because Sheets is right over here, and I guess technically he's going like this and around heading towards Sheets. Maybe in that guy's mind he just sort of didn't picture the rest of the building, and yeah, he was going like that, and Sheets is over here. And by the way, that's where the interview was with the guy regarding the van. The van was spotted being towed away right here, so that's where Sheets is. And so when they see Thomas Crooks walking around the building like this, that was an error saying that, because then people were probably over here looking to see if they could find him on this side, because he's apparently headed towards Sheets. So that was a really poor piece of communication. Instead, two law enforcement officials familiar with the investigation said Crooks made his way to an HVAC unit next to AGR building. He scaled that equipment to gain access to the roof of the building, the official said. Video obtained by the FBI shows Crooks climbing onto the roof at 6:06. And I think I was showing you guys that earlier, where I think that's where the surveillance camera was on a business, and it's not motion activated, and it just films all the time, and you can literally see him climbing on the roof on that sunny day. By the time Crooks was on the roof, officers were still focused on finding him on the ground. Yes, because they thought he was headed towards Sheets. And as you can see in the diagram in the Washington Post, he goes around the corner right here, gets up on this HVAC system, and he gets up here at 6:06. So interestingly, he's spotted at 6:02 going around, but where was he? We discussed that earlier. Where do you think he was for those 4 minutes before they see him climbing up? Do you think he was just waiting there to see if anybody would catch him, and if he got, or if anybody saw him? Because if anybody saw him, they'd come in behind him, right? So perhaps he waited for a while, and he's waiting for Trump to get into his speech, and then he climbs up on this HVAC system here, and eventually he ends up right in this location where they have him here. It's pretty accurate right there. It's 20 flats over from the right Crooks firing position. In the command post, Lentz radioed to the tactical units that local police had the building surrounded. They should have a fairly good perimeter. If you get another visual, let me know, he said at 6:07 p.m. Less than a minute later, Crooks was spotted again, this time up above. Someone on the roof, a local officer radio at 6:08 p.m. I have someone on the roof with white shorts. So that's at 6:08 p.m. and we know that at 6:08 and 50 seconds or so, you see him running, and then he pulls his head up around that time. So let's go back to that footage.
Great gentleman. So we're going to bring him up for can we bring him up for a couple of minutes later? A little bit later. All right. You get ready, McCormick. You get ready. I'll get you.
So right in this spot, I believe he's standing on that little bridge. Because again, there's the pipe. He's just a little bit over. Let's just do it again. Here are the stands. And this is where the camera was, right in this location. And then if we go up there and we zoom in, let's see how accurate. Gotta go this direction. And there's the pipe. Now, if we could just kind of keep it right in that line right there. There's the pipe, and he was just off to the left of that. And look, that's right there where that bridge is. So I think he's standing on that because it's a little lower than the roof, and he's looking up above, and then that's when he climbs up on there. What's startling, though, is there's almost 3 minutes from that point to when Trump was actually shot at. I mean, there isn't anybody that could have gone up there and confronted him. They tried right near the end, about 30 seconds before the shooting. Somebody goes, oh, he's got a gun, because the officer went up, climbed up on the roof. Crooks turned and aimed a gun at him, and the guy let go and dropped down and said, he's got a gun! And apparently, he said that in his radio. Now, somebody else yelled, he's got a gun. We hear it on the video, and that's only 5 seconds before the first shots. But apparently, this officer said it in the radio system 30 seconds before, which is plenty of time if you have a communication system worth a damn. Unbelievable. Video published by Fox News shows Crooks running. I just showed you that one. Inside the local command lends radio to clarify that the person on the roof was not a police officer, so now they know it's somebody that should not be up there. We do not have assets on the roof, he said. That is not us. Then at 6:09, Lenz again dialed the state trooper to inform him about the suspect on the roof, according to law enforcement officials and call logs. At the same time, a local officer said over the radio that he had a good view of the male on the roof. And again, this is where they think he went, up on there, around, and came right over to here. This is that little bridge at 6:09. He's spotted right there about. And then 6:11, Crooks opened fire. I mean, that is such a dereliction of duty. How did you guys not get up there? You saw him up there. Put somebody on the roof, for God's sakes. The second you saw him on there, get somebody on the roof walking around. You saw him standing on the bridge there. Unbelievable. We got him, the officer said. Oh, yeah, you sure did. We don't have him in custody yet, but he's right straight in front of me by the pine tree standing upwards. He had a backpack. Right, well, the pine tree they're talking about is right here. This is the tree that I thought maybe he had stashed his AR-15 in because it's so thick you wouldn't be able to see it in there. But he was standing on this little bridge right there at that time. So why didn't you go up there? The officer's description appears to match a location on the east side of the complex near the building where Crooks opened fire. But within 25 seconds, Crooks had slipped out of the officer's range of vision. Okay, but you know he's still on the roof, though, right? Lost sight of him. Trooper was chasing him, trying to follow him around the building, the officer said. But you lost sight of him on the roof, so you know he's up there. On the other side of the complex, bystanders gathered under a tree about 160 feet from the building had a clearer view of Crooks, who was prone on the rooftop, video shows. And that's one of the things that really frustrates me. All those people that were looking up on the roof, how easily they could see him, and yet law enforcement didn't go over to where they were and say, let me see, what are you guys looking at? What are you looking at? Right here. They were standing right here, and they could see him on the roof, right up there, and there was officers walking around right next to the building as if they have, they were Plastic Man and can stick their head way up in the air and look onto the roof. Why don't you run over to the people saying, he's right there, he's right there. Go over to where they are and look up there. God, I just don't know. The comedy of errors, the sheer number of errors in this case is why people think there's a conspiracy here. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't believe there's a conspiracy. I think it's just absolute incompetence that manifested itself this day because a shooter was there and willing to do what he did. I think Trump and other people have been in danger for a long time. Last time I seen him was by the pine tree between the two buildings, the small walkway joining the buildings, the officer who earlier spotted Crooks on the roof reported at 6:10 p.m. At 6:11, a local officer hoisted up to the roof line by a colleague reported the first sign that the man on the roof was in fact a deadly threat. "He's armed," the officer said, according to the transcript. "I saw him. He's laying down." Local officials have previously said the officer lowered himself because his hands were on the roof line, preventing him from pulling his weapon as Crooks pointed his rifle in the officer's direction. But by the way, why didn't you just have somebody hoist you up on that little bridge area? That would have been so easy. "He's got a long gun," the officer said again into the radio. And that is when Crooks opened fire. From right here, he pulled out his AR. Well, he didn't pull it out. I think he was sliding his AR-15 up the flats using the ribs to hide the fact that he had one. And only when he turned it perpendicular to the roof line did somebody notice that it was an actual gun. And they fired a shot right at Trump, and they shot 3 in succession, controlled shots, trying to hit him. And then after Trump went down, they shot a volley of 5. Then a counter sniper or some other officer tried to shoot him, missed him, and then a fatal shot came from the south roof right here, and that is what killed Thomas Crooks, just like that. But man, what a ridiculous sequence of events. I mean, they have this guy sitting right here. Earlier he was flying a drone around. Apparently nobody spotted him flying the drone around because it's not in any of the reports. So if somebody had seen him, it would have been, hey, there's a guy flying a drone around. Oh, and later he has a rangefinder. He would have been, I think he would have been considered a semi-threat at least at that point. And they might have hauled him in for questioning. But nobody did. They filmed him sitting over here on his cell phone. Then he's walking around over here. Has no business, by the way, going back around in this area over here. But he goes over there, climbs up on the roof, makes his way over here. Takes him some minutes to get over here. But he finally makes his way, and he's standing on here for a moment. Officer sees him there, and apparently they thought, oh, we lost him because they couldn't see him anymore. But you know he's on the roof, so you could have just put somebody on the roof, or 3 or 4 of you, and located this guy. But you didn't do it. So, man, there's a lot of just ridiculousness in this case, and I don't know how many more times I can say it. I think it's pure insanity. The communication, the decisions of people. Man, I think Trump's been in danger for a long time. All right? So if you guys have any comments, leave a comment in the comments section. I would appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button right out of the gate. Share the video and subscribe if you like my content.